Good luck on your mission. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
What was that he said about something impossible?
The King has completed one of his toughest missions yet and brought the Impossible Whopper to Cayman. The Impossible Whopper, just like the regular Whopper, but made from plants. Brand new on island and only at Burger King. 7 Mile Beach, Waterfront, Walker's Road, and Red Bay.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. Caribbean Bakery, made Cayman fresh.
Also brought to you by Ropers Enterprises, 122 Industrial Way. Products and services for better public health. Green Turtle. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today. The Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, and by West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Ort Connor.
Good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Welcome to For the Record. Today is Monday, the 26th day of April 2021. I hope and I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable weekend. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, again, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Whether you're a pedestrian, whether you're a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle on the roads, please ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember that the life you save may be your own. In particular, this morning, I want to address those operators of vehicles on Shamrock Road, including what we call Spot Straight, or what was known in the old days as, Tom Jackson's, I think it was called Tom Jackson Road or another name. I'll get the name. But it was built by a gentleman by the name of Tom Jackson. And before we knew it as Spot Straight, it was named after Mr. Tom Jackson as well. But we're urging you to please be extremely cautious there. We know that the road surface has been repaved. It is very nice to drive on, but that is no reason for you to speed excessively on there. We know that the temptation is there. We know that the radars are in that area, which monitor your speed that you're driving at. But please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you leave for wherever you're going early enough so that there is no need for you to rush. Again, the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday. Or if you celebrated one over the weekend, a belated happy birthday as well. Those who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. And we hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these very challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you as well. Those of you who are not feeling well, or maybe in a hospital or at home, we want to wish for you a speedy recovery as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Art Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. In the studio this morning with me to take your calls, none other than DJ Lynn. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and the 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925-3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. Our plans this morning was to have Dr. Steve McPhail in the studio with me, but unfortunately, Dr. McPhail has to attend court today. He got notification of that, so he is unable to be here with us today. Look forward to having him, God's willing, on Wednesday with us. Meanwhile, you would have heard on the news this morning, but I will repeat it as well. I will give you the Thursday's COVID-19 update. That was Thursday, the 23rd of April 2021, when the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. John Lee, reported that 341 COVID-19 tests had been carried out since it was last reported on Thursday. So this is Friday, sorry. So it was last reported on Thursday. Three were positive. Individuals or travelers who tested positive following routine screening. They will remain in isolation until considered recovered. And so far, there have been 64,494 COVID-19 vaccinations administered in total in the Cayman Islands, 34,939, which represents 54% of the 65,000 have had at least one dose of the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, and 45% of the 65 have completed 2-dose courses. And we again urge you to continue to make every effort to be vaccinated as well. We see what's happening in other countries, India exploding, despite the fact that India has been exporting vaccine to other countries as well. A very, very small portion or proportion of their population has been vaccinated as well. Also, during the course of the show this morning, I will share with you the Health Services Authority's announcement and about the schedule for the vaccination from the 26th of April, which is today, until the 8th of May. I will share those details with you as well. Meanwhile, I'm informed that we do have one caller, so we're going straight to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Ozzy.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm extremely thankful. And you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, James Sterling Banks here, the third, better known as Jimmy.
Okay, what do you have to tell me?
I have to tell you that the name of that area that you were describing about Tom Jackson, that was one of our race courses at the time with Tom Jackson Lane.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, well.
Okay. So, folks, the first thing that I'm going to share with you is the vaccination schedule, starting 26th of April today until the 8th of May. So the Public Health Department has published this on Friday. First of all, dose 1 and 2 remains available to all persons over the age of 16, regardless of your surname. So any person under the age of 16, irrespective of your surname, doses 1 and 2 are available. On Friday, April the 30th, the vaccine will be administered in Kamanabe. I think that's how they say you're supposed to say it, not Kamanabe, but Kamanabe, at the old Cayman Mac store. Please check the vaccination schedule for various times and locations. And then here are some of the reminders for you as far as the procedures are concerned. COVID-19 vaccine is available. Photo ID showing the date of birth is still required. However, persons no longer need to provide identification to demonstrate they are ordinarily or legally resident in the Cayman Islands. You should bring your completed consent form for dose 1, and you can download that by visiting hsa.ky. Also, persons who have received their first dose are reminded to get their second dose 21 days later or no longer than 12 weeks after the first dose. And I'm going to pause there for a second and just point out that we have seen some figures coming out of the United States now where many persons who have received the first dose have not returned for their second dose. Of course, the minimum period is 21 days, and you can actually go up to 12 weeks before you get your second dose. When receiving your second dose, you must also bring along your vaccination card reflecting that you have received the first dose. A reminder not to laminate your vaccination card at any time. And if you have already laminated your vaccination card, please bring it to the Owen Roberts International Airport Vaccination Clinic along with your ID. I would imagine that what they mean by that is that that's how you would get it replaced. And I know a few people who have had who have laminated their vaccination cards, so they should do that. Should park in a long-term parking lot. Do not bring children when possible. No pets allowed at the vaccination clinic. Face masks are required. Persons 60 years of and older will be given priority as well. And if you need more information in relation to the vaccination schedule, you can visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus. We do have another caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I have a question which perhaps you can address to Dr. Steve McField when he is back in studio, but many of us have learned about the substantial cash remunerations that have been offered political candidates that were successful to switch parties, to assume specific roles. I'm referring to this last election, the one before that, and this may have gone on for a long time. But substantial remuneration to abide with a switch or a convert, this can't possibly be legal. What are your comments?
I would agree with you that it can't be legal, and we keep hearing rumors of it. I'm not sure whether or not those accusations can be substantiated, but we certainly have our various entities that support democracy and good government, and we certainly have the Anti-Corruption Commission. We have standards in public life as well. And if anyone has information, it can't be rumors, it has to be information, they should share that, make those reports. We also have whistleblower protection legislation in the Cayman Islands as well, and they should report that to the relevant authorities, because it certainly, in my view, would be some breach of some of our legislation here in the Cayman Islands.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation will continue, so please stay tuned.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
The early charts of Grand Cayman notes the small village of Hogstyes and is known today as the busy hub of Georgetown, the capital city of the Cayman Islands. Although relatively insignificant in the past, the area's development was fostered due to the suitability of its location. Similar to Watering Place in Cayman Brac, Hogstyes offered potable water from an inland source, leeward shelter from the prevailing winds, and a good holding bottom. The small gun battery named Fort George equally offered peace of mind and security to the harbour town community of swineherds and fishermen. Thanks to its geographical benefits, the offshore anchorage would later grow into the primary maritime conduit. And during the winter months and the onset of nor'westers, ship would also seek shelter by anchoring along the southern coast.
Information from this historical vignette was sourced from The Maritime Heritage of the Cayman Islands by Roger C. Smith.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
We are telling you ahead of time, giving you the heads up to get ready. The Black Tie Affair with a circus twist. Step right up. The annual gala hosted by Rotary Central for the Alex Panton Foundation. Saturday, May 29th, Marriott Beach Hotel Ballroom. Step right up. Support the Alex Panton Foundation, dedicated to serving and preserving young people through vulnerable times, mental health intervention, treatment, guidance, preserving life. The ambience of a circus affair. Tickets are limited, tickets are precious. Get your tickets from Rotary Central members. Go online to Rotary Central and the Alex Panton Foundation Facebook pages. Rotary Central and the Alex Panton Foundation. Rotary opens opportunity.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay.
No one can stop me when I taste the feel.
Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
I grew up in a Canadian village with a general store that had just about anything you could ever need. That's what I'm reminded of every time I go into West Bay Pharmacy. It's not just because it's well stocked with necessities and oddities, but also because it's like our community hub. The staff treat customers like friends. Ron and the team of pharmacists have kept my family patched up and flu-free for years, and there are usually a few good laughs mixed in. They are truly taking care of my health and my family's health. West Bay Pharmacy is the very best of Cayman kind.
Did you know that defective airbags can cause serious injury or even death if not repaired immediately? Right now, millions of vehicles around the world are under recall for faulty Takata airbags, and yours could be one of them. At Vamt Motors, our priority is to make sure the Toyota or Ford you drive is safe. So we are offering customers a free, fast and easy airbag swap out if your vehicle was manufactured in 2016 or earlier. Find out if you need to have new airbags installed by emailing your Ford or Toyota vehicle's VIN or vehicle identification number to service@vamtmotors.com or stop by Vamp's Service Center or call us at 949-2245. Don't risk it. Get the airbags in your Toyota or Ford checked for free at Vamt Motors on Walkers Road.
The Green Turtle app. So many options. One easy solution. All new subscription feature to automate your weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly top-up. Makes your life easier. Never lose a number again. Keep your children on budget.
Yes!
Make sure you can stay in touch with your loved one.
Woohoo!
No hassles. Green Turtle makes it easy. Take a ride on Cayman's Green Turtle Express. Download the Green Turtle app today. It just makes life easier. Remember, you can get mobile gift cards for Xbox, PlayStation, Apple, and Spotify delivered right to your phone. Playtime is now in real time.
It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices. Ropers. Appliances, dishware, bulk foods, and so much more. With huge savings. Ropers is stocked for your hurricane supplies. Don't cut back on your needs. Cut back on your spending with Ropers. Your neighborhood store. Value, integrity. Ropers Enterprises. 122 Industrial Way. Call 949-2511. Clean up your spending with Ropers. Ropers, providing products and services for better public health.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Dr. Steve unable to be with me this morning because he has a court appearance to make with one of his clients, so he's unable to be here. I just want to let you know what my plans are for the next few shows until we start to have regular guests back on the show. On the swearing-in ceremony at the Legislative Assembly, and I had the privilege and pleasure of being on CIG TV with Miss Donna Bush. I promised that I would share the acceptance speech of the late Honorable Edna Moyle when she accepted it in 2004, she served from 2005 to 2009. And I did that on Friday. But I also want to share with you our first speaker from outside of our Legislative Assembly, our national hero, Honorable Sybil Ione McLaughlin. Her acceptance speech and some of the details of the first meeting of our Legislative Assembly in 1991. That assembly, that ran from the 15th of February to the 8th of March, 1991. And included in that is a speech by the outgoing president of the Legislative Assembly, the Governor Alan Scott, at that point in time as well. One of my listeners wanted to know about Jamaica and the connection between the Cayman Islands and Jamaica. And we know that some people say, oh, we were a parish of Jamaica. But in fact, the words that were used, that we were governed as if we were a part of the Cayman Islands. But the history of government in the Cayman Islands at that point in time was shared by the Alan Scott, as well as our national hero, the Honorable Sybil McLaughlin. And my plans are to share that with you this morning. I won't start now because we'll soon have to break for the 8 o'clock news. When we return after the 8 o'clock news, I beg and crave your indulgence. We will probably cut off the phone lines for a while so that I can share this with you, because I think it is extremely important. We have seen the swearing-in ceremonies at our Legislative Assembly. We now have the benefit of modern technology, television, YouTube, all of social media that we can see it. In those days, in 1991, we relied mainly on the radio for that, and I'd like to share it with you. Plus, I want to use this platform as often as I can to share the history of the Cayman Islands with you as well. But again, also to stress the importance of the speakership of our parliament. Extremely, extremely important as well. We do have a caller, so I can accommodate that caller before we go to our 8 o'clock news. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How art thou?
We don't know because I'm still complaining myself. I'm still hearing people complain about the swearing-in ceremony and broadcast audio. Let me tell you something. It was terrible. And even last night, speaking to someone, they were complaining vociferously. They couldn't hear this, they couldn't hear that. I don't know what went wrong. I know my government throws money at some things like buckets full. So I don't know what they're doing out there.
Well, if any fat cat has a big contract and maybe an exclusive one with government to provide those services, it's something that we need to look into as well. A little bird whispered in my ear and told me that might be a possibility, that someone might have a real plush contract with government to provide those services. I'm just saying, if someone has a fat contract and we're not getting value for money, maybe we need to look into that, my friend.
Because it was crashing on the going out, and that shouldn't happen. Even if you crash your rejoiner, it shouldn't crash. I don't know. I really don't know. You shouldn't crash your brakes. That's all I know.
Yeah.
And it was jarring, really. You need to go back to something. If you think we're being extreme in complaining, it was really badly technically done. And, we celebrating 45 years now.
Okay. Yep. I don't think we can blame Radio Cayman, for that at all. But something that needs to be looked into, because remember now, we not only have a national audience, but we have an international one as well, and all of the Cayman diaspora who want to listen to what's happening and watch what's happening in the Cayman Islands. They all rely on that service as well.
Yeah, that was really bad though. Anyhow, have a nice day.
All right, we'll continue to talk. I think very quickly before we go to the 8 o'clock news, I can point out to you that at that particular meeting of our Legislative Assembly on the 15th of February, 1991, the government members at that time were the Honorable Thomas C. Jefferson, Honorable Richard Ground, who was Mr. Thomas Jefferson was the first official member responsible for finance and development. Honorable Richard Ground, second official member responsible for legal administration. Third official member, Honorable J. Lemuel Hurlston, responsible for internal and external affairs. Honorable Norman Bawden, OBE-JP, elected member responsible for tourism, aviation, and trade. Honorable Bensel O. Ebanks, OBE, elected member responsible for education, environment, recreation, and culture. Honorable D. Ezard Miller, elected member responsible for health and social services. And the Honorable Linford Pearson, JP, elected member responsible for communications, works, and agriculture. The elected members, Honorable W. McKeever Bush, first elected member for West Bay. Mr. John D. Jefferson Jr., third elected member For West Bay, Mr. Truman Borden. Georgetown, Captain Maybricker Colonel. Sister Islands, Mr. Gilbert McLean. Sister Islands, Mr. Roy Borden. Bordentown, Mr. Haig Borden. Bordentown, Mr. John B. McLean, East End. Top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. When we return, we're going to talk more about the first meeting, 15th of February, 1991, and the appointment of our first speaker from outside of the Legislative Assembly. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
It's another hot day in Cayman, but the prices at Foster's are even hotter. We'll now cross live to our reporter, Ann, who's in store.
Thanks, Brad. These prices are scorching. They've got Old El Paso taco dinner kits, just 2 for $5. And certified Angus beef, strip loin steaks are just $10.99 a pound, saving you $4. But Brad, you better hurry. Prices are good until May 5th, 2021.
Thanks, Ann. Well, you heard it here first. It's time to get down to your local Foster's. For these and more great deals, go to fosters.ky.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We are a not-for-profit, member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. We have an all-in expense ratio of less than 1%, over 20,000 members, and $490 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s, and today we are still strong, secure, and are here for our employees and employers alike. If you would like to join or require further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Good morning once again. I'm Dion Anglin. It's time now for your 8 o'clock morning news. The man who would have been premier if the Progressives had won to secure enough seats in the election highlighted the role of the opposition.
We have an important role to play in holding government accountable to this Parliament and to the people of the Cayman Islands. I promise the good people of these islands that in my role I will be robust, but I'll be fair in exercising my duties. I promise also that I will be respectful of every member of this Parliament, and I will never resort to personal attacks.
Joined by 5 Progressive colleagues and the independent member from Bordentown East, the Honourable Roy McTaggart is the new leader of the opposition.
I also recognise this morning that any new government will need time to become acquainted with, knowledgeable of, and comfortable in their new roles. I've been there, so I know firsthand. The opposition will give them a period of time to do just that.
Opposition leader the Honourable Roy McTaggart speaking in Parliament on Friday. There's a new district commissioner in town on the Sister Islands. CIGTV's Simon Boxall has more.
Mr. Mark Tibbetts took office on the 21st of April following the retirement of the previous district commissioner, Mr. Ernie Scott, the day before. The appointment follows a 31-year career in the civil service, including 14 years as Deputy District Commissioner. Mr. Tibbetts also has private sector experience in the telecommunications and tourism sectors. The role of District Commissioner leads the Department of District Administration and advises the relevant ministry. The post holder also heads up the Sister Islands Disaster Management Response Committee.
And the Cayman Turtle Center celebrates Earth Month. Radio Cayman's Felicia Rankin-Salins has more.
Cayman Turtle Center has been celebrating the Earth all month. Marketing manager at CTC, Natalie Porter.
Cayman Turtle Center is proud to be part of the Cayman Islands government's Earth Month initiative this month with the theme Renew the Earth, Renew Cayman. We're celebrating with a whole month of activities, which kicked off with our first annual Turtle Crawl 5K Walk Run on Sunday, the 11th of April. This Monday, the 19th of April, our team organised a mangrove tree planting at Barker's National Park, and we streamed that on Facebook Live to educate the community on the importance of mangroves in our ecosystem. On Thursday, the 22nd of April, Earth Day itself, we were pleased to release 3 yearling green sea turtles into the wild from Governor's Beach.
This past weekend, crew members from the Turtle Center dedicated their time to cleaning up West Bay's as part of their annual commitment to the Chamber of Commerce Earth Day cleanup.
Conservation is at the heart of everything that we do, and it's important that each and every one of us play a part in protecting Cayman's beautiful natural environment for future generations to enjoy.
As part of an ongoing public education initiative, CTCEC also held 2 animal conservation talks, lunch and learn sessions for civil servants last week as part of the Earth Month schedule. The talks focus on what the center is doing to help conserve the marine environment and its successful captive breeding programs. For Radio Cayman News, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Thank you, Felicia. Now for a look at news from around the Caribbean. Here's Carib Updates, Wendy Chateau.
Grenadian trade unionists have blasted the questioning of head of the Grenada Union of Teachers on the weekend. GUT President Jude Bartholomew was questioned at the St. David's police station on Saturday by officers in relation to what is said to be an ongoing investigation regarding possible violations of the Emergency Powers Act and breaches of the COVID-19 protocols. Teachers have been protesting the government's refusal to pay a 4% increase. An official police statement said officers interrogated him about an April 7th march. The official version was that he was questioned for over 2 hours, but then allowed to leave the police precinct without charge. But the police say investigations are continuing. Head of the Grenada Trade Union Council, Andre Lewis, said the move was an attempt to intimidate the local labor movement.
We should let them know and continue to let them know that the struggle for the rights of the worker, we shall not be intimidated. We shall not be moved. And this immediate gathering here is a clear indication of the resolve of the working people of Grenada.
Bartholomew said he remains undaunted.
This is the most proud moment in my life.
Amen.
Amen. That is when we have to stand firm.
Yes.
That will never shake me.
No.
Comrades, there is a reason and a purpose for every moment in your life.
Amen.
And let today be documented.
Yes.
Comrades.
The Dominica Parliament is expected to pass a resolution Monday expressing solidarity with Cuba and condemning a U.S. designation as a state sponsor of terrorism as out of order. The former Trump administration had sought to put pressure on Havana in an economic war it hoped would force regime change, rolling back Obama-era efforts to normalize relations. The new Joe Biden administration is yet to set out a clear policy on Cuba, but has suggested that the issue is not immediately one of its priorities. Dominica's Prime Minister Skerritt said it is important the region stands with Cuba.
That's it for Radio Cayman's 8 o'clock morning news. I'm Dion Anglin.
The 8 a.m. news is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Are you aware of the performance of your pension plan? The Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan provides quarterly fund fact sheets for our members to stay informed with the plan's performance. For the year ended August 31st, various life cycle funds provided returns between 9.2% and 16.5%, and our all-in expense ratio is currently the lowest it's ever been, a record low at 0.72%. Visit chamberpension.ky to review our fund fact sheets. You can see the performance as far back as 10 years. Remember that pensions are a longer-term investment strategy. Focus on the long term rather than the short-term returns. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan continues to perform for you.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
With Logic, you get more things you do want.
like faster fiber internet, more TV, entertainment, and better customer service. And you get less of the things you don't want, like waiting, boredom, and disappointment. More of the good, less of the bad. It just makes sense. Or should I say, it's logical. See what I did there? Call us or go to logic.ky to find out how you could be getting way more of what's good.
Radio Cayman News.
The results saw 12 incumbents and 19 newcomers.
The most highly anticipated result was the race between Mario Ebanks and the Honorable Makiba Bush.
The elections are now officially over, but it certainly kept us on our toes.
It was a rather emotional win for incumbent Dwayne Seymour.
It's about who can pull together a team to form a government.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
The 8:10 a.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com.
For over 100 years, more than 5.8 million people across the Americas and the Caribbean have placed their trust in Pan American Life Insurance Group. We have delivered on our promise and have proven that we are more than an insurance company. We are family. To learn more about our first-in-class individual and group life, disability and accident solutions, please visit Pan American International Insurance Corporation at Unit 221, Cannon Place East, North Song Road, Grand Cayman, or contact us at 949-8304 and visit us online at www.palig.com. Pan American Life, people you can trust for life.
And a pleasant good morning once again to Radio Cayman listeners. A quick look at the weather outside. Current temperatures outside is 85 degrees. Expect sunny skies today. Highs are going to be around 85. Winds are going to be coming in from the northeast between 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chances of rain about 16%. Current humidity is at 72% with the UV index of 10 out of 10 extreme. Taking a look at overnight lows, the Cayman Islands expect around 79 degrees. A few passing clouds later on this evening. Wind should be coming in around 10 to 50 miles per hour between the north and northeast. With a 20% chances of showers later on tonight. And humidity around 79%. Taking a look at the tides and outside. 8:25 a.m. is high tide, low tide 2:59 p.m. And high tide again at 9:38 tonight. Sunset in the Cayman Islands 6:45 p.m. Sunrise bright and early tomorrow 6:01 a.m. Outlook is for similar weather conditions through Wednesday morning.
For additional weather information, visit www.weather.gov.ky. As well, stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
The 8:10 a.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com.
For over 100 years, more than 5.8 million people across the Americas and the Caribbean have placed their trust in Pan American Life Insurance Group. We have delivered on our promise and have proven that we're more than just an insurance company, we're family. To learn more about our first-in-class group health and employee benefit solutions, please visit Pan American Life Insurance Company of the Cayman Islands at Unit 221, Cannon Place East, North Sound Road, Grand Cayman, or contact us at 949-8304. You can also visit us online at www.palig.com. Pan American Life, people you can trust for life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Achieving your goals is a very rewarding feeling, but at times can feel very frustrating, especially if and when we miss our target. As you approach your goals in life, set yourself up for success.
When setting your goals, break it down. Once the long-term goals are set, work backwards to set smaller and more manageable goals. These should be specific, measurable, and achievable. For example, study in the library for 1 hour 3 times per week instead of study more. Consider what you need to do daily, weekly, or by the end of the year in order to succeed. Smaller goals allow you to focus on the essential steps today to ensure you are prepared when tomorrow's opportunities become available.
Change your thinking and change your life.
Radio Cayman's Cayman Strong Series was brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. OnCourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today. And once again, a pleasant good morning to the drivers out on the road coming in from the east. Traffic has picked up a little bit in front of the Prospect area and Lantern Point, but it does begin to slow down on the Lion Center stretch as you head on towards Linford Pearson Highway and the Oak Road, as well as Bobby Thompson Way. A little bit of stop and go by the CMB roundabout and Huldah Avenue. Clear flowing traffic right now at this time by Godfrey Nixon Way, Edward Street, and Shedden Road. Coming in from the west, everything seems to be running smoothly at this time. Take a look at Industrial Park, coming out by the Butterfield roundabout. Traffic seems to be moving nice in all directions at this time. No incidents to report. Just keep locked right here to Radio Cayman 89.9 FM. This is your 820 update brought to you in part by Subway.
Things just got a bit hotter on the island. Come in today and order the new spicy Korean subs at Subway. They're sweet, spicy, and especially satisfying. Stop in and try the pulled pork with spicy Korean sauce, or the chicken with spicy Korean sauce. And you can message WhatsApp at 929-4658. Order online or use Let's Eat or the Bento app. The spicy Korean subs at Subway in 2 flavors, extra saucy and extra spicy. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments until April 27th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020.
We are telling you ahead of time, giving you the heads up to get ready. The Black Tie Affair with a circus twist. Step right up. The annual gala hosted by Rotary Central for the Alex Panton Foundation. Saturday, May 29th, Marriott Beach Hotel Ballroom. Step right up. Support the Alex Panton Foundation. dedicated to serving and preserving young people through vulnerable times, mental health intervention, treatment, guidance, preserving life. The ambience of a circus affair. Tickets are limited, tickets are precious. Get your tickets from Rotary Central members. Go online to Rotary Central and the Alex Panton Foundation Facebook pages. Rotary Central and the Alex Panton Foundation. Rotary opens opportunity.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I just want to mention that we've closed the phone lines off for a while so that I can share some of this information with you. Has to do with the first meeting in 1991 of our then Legislative Assembly. Earlier I gave you the names of the official members as well as the government members, the ministers. Also on that list, we had the officers of the Legislative Assembly. At that time, Mrs. Georgette Myrie was the clerk of the Legislative Assembly. Mrs. Wendell Laura Ebanks, the deputy clerk. Mr. Klein Astor Glidden was the sergeant at arms. Other staff at the Legislative Assembly were Mrs. Sharon K. Smith, the clerk assistant, Miss Nana Bothwell, executive officer, and Mrs. Mary Williams, the refreshment coordinator. And I know many members of the Legislative Assembly, they certainly appreciated Mrs. Mary Williams because she was the one who dealt with the food. Some of you may be familiar with this name also. The person who delivered the prayers on that date, the 15th of February, 1991, was the Reverend Talmage Ebanks. And I would say our Reverend Talmage was the equivalent of a Martin Luther King or Reverend Al Sharpton in the United States. Use of flowery language as well as his ability to hold your attention, to grab your attention and to hold it. He delivered the prayers on that date. And then, of course, similar to what we saw last week, Wednesday, we had the proclamation summoning the 1991 session of the Legislative Assembly. And then the throne speech was delivered by the Governor Alan J. Scott, CVO, CBE. And in that speech, he basically, of course, set out the government policy and everything in that regard, spoke about the various government departments, the Judiciary, Public Service Commission, Portfolio of Finance and Development, Agriculture and Industrial Development Board, Banking, Economic Development Unit, Currency Board, Customs Department, the Legislative Assembly, Marine Survey Department, Registry of Companies, the Statistics Unit, the Treasury, Insurance Departments, the Portfolio of Legal Affairs, spoke about the Law School. In regards to the Portfolio of Internal and External Affairs, the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, Prisons Department, Immigration, Government Information Service, the Sister Cities Relationship. I think at that time we had a twinning with the Dade County, the Caribbean Basin Radar Network Station, spoke about District Administration as well, Broadcasting, Television, what did he say about television at that point in time? Periodically, the provision of a television service within the islands has been suggested. Commercial interest has on occasion been expressed. The government view is that any such service would have to be financially viable without significant public subsidy. Meanwhile, the advent of a weekly program via satellite of local news and events produced by CITV is a courageous and welcome venue. So that was what he had to say about television at that time. 1991, the civil service, he spoke about that as well. Portfolio of tourism, aviation and trade, civil aviation, Cayman Airways Limited, fire department, the education department, covered all of those particular government departments, community college, Cayman Islands Turtle Farm, the National Trust, Cayman National Cultural Foundation. In those days, every government department had to submit something to contribute to the throne speech. Some of them were long, and those persons who were actually preparing the throne speech had to really go through them and parse out a lot of it, because in this particular one, it was really, really long. So here is where I'm going to start. He also spoke about constitutional review, and I think this is important if you want to know more about our constitutional advancement and a constitutional history in the Cayman Islands. So he said that in his throne speech last year that he mentioned that it might be time to consider the review of the 1972 Constitution. He said that this met with a mixed reception initially, but he was comforted by the fact that the advent of the commissioners and the opening up of a public discussion on the issue had shown that the community was not, in the event, afraid of looking at these issues. Not that I ever thought it would be. The commissioners received a large number and wide variety of submissions, both in writing and in meetings. They expect to present their report to the Secretary of State in the next few weeks. It may be useful to restate again the way in which the report is expected to be handled. The commissioners will present their report to the Secretary of State who appointed them. The Secretary of State will consider the report and will then forward it to me with his comments for transmission to the Legislative Assembly. At that time, copies will be made available to the public in adequate quantities so that all who wish may be able to study it. The existing Select Committee of this House, consisting of the elected members, will then be in a position to reopen its consideration of the issue and to call for the public input upon the report before it formulates its own recommendations to this House for debate. When the House is ready, it will, by way of a resolution, recommend what changes, if any, should be made to the Constitution, and this resolution I shall transmit to the Secretary of State. Depending upon the nature of the recommendations made by this House to the Secretary of State, some changes may be suitable for implementation before a general election, whereas some may have to wait an election. It is obviously not possible at this moment to forecast what changes may be recommended, but 2 points should be made very clearly. First, as much time as is desired by the community will be given to the whole process. And second, no changes will be made unless the United Kingdom government is satisfied that they are the evident desire of the majority of the people of the Cayman Islands. Okay, now I'm going to go in, DJ Lynn, I'm going to go a little bit past this commercial break, but administrative history of the Cayman Islands. And this is what Alan Scott, the then governor, laid out to us on the 15th of February, 1991. He said, I shall now ask honorable members to travel back in time over 1 century and to survey briefly the development of the administration of the islands in order to lead into the last part of this speech on the office of the Speaker let me read that all over again. Sorry, messed that up. I shall now ask honorable members to travel back in time over 1 century and to survey briefly the developments of the administration of the islands in order to lead into the last part of this speech on the office of the Speaker. In 1888, the governor of Jamaica, who was by that office also governor of Cayman, visited the islands to assist in formulating a framework of administration more suited to the advancing requirements of that time. Following the unanimous vote of the Assembly, the governor of Jamaica appointed Mr. Edmund Parsons as custos, the head of all 3 branches of government, namely Chief Executive Officer, Chief Judge, and President of the Legislative Assembly. So there we have our first President of the Legislative Assembly, Edmund Parsons, 1988, appointed by the then governor of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. He goes on to say he was thus the first Caymanian presiding officer. His salary was £80 per annum. Edmund Parsons served for 10 years in these capacities. In 1898, the first commissioner was appointed from overseas, Mr. Frederick Sanguinetti. His appointment included the duties of Chief Executive Officer, Chief Judge, President of the Assembly, Treasurer, and Collector General. In 1903, the commissioner became Registrar of Shipping. In 1908, manager of the Government Savings Bank. So we had a Government Savings Bank around 1908 as well. So let me go back now and find that Government of the Savings Bank. And in 1910, on the transfer of powers from Jamaica, Registrar General. So the Registrar General's position was transferred from Jamaica to Cayman in 1910. In 1942, some of the commissioner's powers were devolved to a new Department of Customs, Post Office, and Treasury, focusing the revenue functions and emphasizing the importance of their growth over the years. Ultimately, these departments have come to be headed by the Financial Secretary, the Controller of Customs, the Postmaster General, and the Accountant General, respectively. In 1947, the post of Assistant Commissioner was created with specific change of Immigration and the Government Savings Bank. In 1957, the post of Judge was created. Thus, by this time, the Commissioner has delegated his powers in regard to financial matters, has handed over his powers in regard to judicial matters, but continued to be the chairman of Executive Council and the president of the Legislative Assembly. The growth of and the demand for services continued. The administration developed to cope with the new requirements and the expansion of existing services. Departments were born and flourished. The administrator, becoming the governor in 1972, continued to be the Chief Executive Officer, Chairman of Executive Council, and President of the Legislative Assembly. We're going to take a commercial break. When I return now, we will see what he had to say about the office of the Speaker. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
I grew up in a Canadian village with a general store that had just about anything you could ever need. That's what I'm reminded of every time I go into West Bay Pharmacy. It's not just because it's well stocked with necessities and oddities, but also because it's like our community hub. The staff treat customers like friends. Ron and the team of pharmacists have kept my family patched up and flu-free for years, and there are usually a few good laughs mixed in. They are truly taking care of my health and my family's health. West Bay Pharmacy is the very best of Cayman kind.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
There's nothing like the smell of freshly baked bread. The warm, inviting aroma, the fresh and natural taste, just like homemade. 100% all-natural, additive-free bread.
Enjoy fresh and natural tasting bread from the iconic Caribbean Bakery. Always delivered fresh to your favorite supermarkets island-wide. Forget the imported frozen and thawed and enjoy our freshly baked selection of quality breads and pastries.
Try our classic white and wheat sandwich breads, coconut and raisin breads, hamburger and hot dog buns, and a great selection of pastries. Feed your family fresh with Caribbean Bakery.
Did you know that defective airbags can cause serious injury or even death if not repaired immediately? Right now, millions of vehicles around the world are under recall for faulty Takata airbags, and yours could be one of them. At Vamt Motors, our priority is to make sure the Toyota or Ford you drive is safe. So we are offering customers a free, fast, and easy airbag swap out if your vehicle was manufactured in 2016 or earlier. Find out if you need to have new airbags installed by emailing your Ford or Toyota vehicle's VIN or vehicle identification number to service@vampmotors.com or stop by Vamp's Service Center or call us at 949-2245. Don't risk it. Get the airbags in your Toyota or Ford checked for free at Vamp Motors on Walkers Road.
Whether you're finishing a new condo, upgrading your rental property, or simply renovating, make Ropers Enterprises your first stop. Quality furniture at a fraction of the price. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices. Ropers, your neighborhood store. Value, integrity. Ropers Enterprises, 122 Industrial Way. Your home deserves a quality finish. Visit their showroom or shop online at ropers.ky. Ropers, providing products and services for better public health.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I'm sharing with you the speeches from the opening meeting of our Legislative Assembly, 15th of February, 1991. This also marks the ascension of our national hero, Honorable Sybil McLaughlin, as the first speaker from outside of our Legislative Assembly. I'm sharing with you the then Governor, Alan Scott's speech, he spoke about the administrative history of the Cayman Islands, and we now know that Edmund Parsons was the first Caymanian presiding officer of our Legislative Assembly. So the office of the Speaker, he says, I now come to the office of Speaker. Development and political maturation, together with a need for more efficient administration, were by 1970 pointing towards the Assembly being headed by a separate individual. The 1972 Constitution enabled the governor, and I want you to listen to this carefully because this is the way that it was done then. The 1972 Constitution enabled the governor to appoint a speaker in place of the governor as presiding officer following a motion in the Legislative Assembly. So the governor had the ability to appoint the speaker. That could only come about following a motion being moved and passed in the Legislative Assembly. He goes on to say that whether the time was right for this change has been debated periodically, but finally, in September 1990, the elected members of the Assembly came to the conclusion by a majority that the long-standing constitutional doctrine of the separation of the executive and legislative powers could and should be brought into effect in the Cayman Islands. I have accordingly appointed a speaker, and shortly this House and the community will witness the swearing in and installation of the first Speaker of the Legislative Assembly of the Cayman Islands. And so, a Caymanian is about to assume the office of Speaker with its rewards and its problems. It is a unique office. It functions by the will of and with the consent of the members of the Legislative Assembly. The holder exercises authority in the Assembly largely through the self-discipline and acceptance of procedures of the members of the Assembly. The holder of the office is entrusted with important responsibilities in the conduct of parliamentary democracy in a monarchy with a long history of precepts and precedents. It is accordingly with pride and confidence, as the 5th governor of these islands and as the 20th presiding officer of the Assembly since 1888, that I shall hand over the office to Mrs. Sybil McLaughlin. I tendered to her my warmest good wishes for a most successful and rewarding tenure of office. To the staff of the Legislative Assembly, I record my special thanks for their devoted and efficient handling of the business of this Assembly and their capacity for working under pressure and producing consistently such excellent service for the House. They will, I am sure, continue to serve the House and the new presiding officer, the Speaker, to the best of their considerable abilities. Finally, my parting words to the members of this House as your presiding officer. When my predecessors retired from the office of governor or administrator or commissioner, or their last occasion presiding over this House, they conveyed their appreciation to members, and I should now like to do the same. It would not be true, and I am sure honorable members will appreciate this, to say that I have enjoyed every single moment of this House. Yeah, he had a rough time in there, but some of it, he brought it upon himself as well. I'm saying that. Those are my words. There have been some moments which I shall not miss, but there have been many times that I shall miss and I shall treasure moments of insight, of humor, of oratory, and passion. Oratory and passion, yes. And to be frictions, there are bound to be strong arguments, for this is inherent in the process of democracy. It is a reflection of the application of intelligence to events and possibilities, and it would be a dull world if we all agreed all of the time. When the issues are important, are of national significance, there should be strong and sensitive debate. There may be temporary ill will, but I believe it fair to say that my predecessors and I, and all your predecessors, honorable members, and yourselves, have always borne in mind the public good, and however fierce the debate, and however strong the difference of opinion, at the end of the day, we are all working together towards the same objective, namely the progress of the people of the Cayman Islands. And I hope and I trust and I believe that those sentiments ring true today with our current government and with our current members of the Legislative Assembly. He goes on to say, I wish for you the great strength of purpose and integrity, and pray that you will be ever mindful of the heavy responsibilities which lie upon you both as leaders of your people and as their representatives. There will be occasions when your own analysis of an issue will tell you that what your constituents say they want is not necessarily the best for the community as a whole. And I hope that you will then find that strength of purpose, that integrity of mind, which will carry you beyond the immediate moment, beyond the present clamor, to the greater interest, be it moral, be it political, of the community. Politics is of the moment. Statesmanship, which recognizes the long-term national interest, rises higher. There is no more sacred trust than to have in your hands, the responsibility for the future of your country. Huge, great responsibility, folks. Honorable members, this concludes the throne speech for 1991. I pray that Almighty God will continue to bless and guide the people of these islands and all those who serve them. Then, of course, there was a motion of thanks by Richard Ground. I would also like to point out to you that Mr. Thomas Jefferson, who was then the leader of government business, he sat in the chair presiding at that point in time. Then there was a proclamation to appoint the Speaker of our Legislative Assembly, and of course we know that our national hero, Mrs. Sybil Ione McLaughlin, was unanimously proposed to the governor, so she was chosen. She then took the oath of allegiance as Speaker, and then the session adjourned. After that, there were many welcoming statements by the various members of the Legislative Assembly. The Honorable, at that time, he was, I'm referring to him currently, the Honorable W. McKeever Bush, who was a strong proponent of the Speaker being chosen locally. He gave a speech, and I look forward to sharing that with you at some point in time as well, because that laid out the history, a lot of the history of the Cayman Islands as well. But what I want to share with you, I should say that all members of the Legislative Assembly at that time gave welcoming statements to the Speaker as well. And what I'm going to share with you is the acceptance speech by the Speaker. And I am scrolling down to that. And here's Madam Speaker then gave her acceptance speech as well. DJ Lynn, I'm going to ask you to go to a commercial, if you can. Is that possible, or am I throwing things off? Okay, we're going to take a commercial break, folks. When we return, I will be sharing this additional information with you, so please stay tuned.
I grew up in a Canadian village with a general store that had just about anything you could ever need. That's what I'm reminded of every time I go into West Bay Pharmacy. It's not just because it's well stocked with necessities and oddities, but also because it's like our community hub. The staff treat customers like friends. Ron and the team of pharmacists have kept my family patched up and flu-free for years, and there are usually a few good laughs mixed in. They are truly taking care of my health and my family's health. West Bay Pharmacy is the very best of Cayman kind.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I'm sharing with you the proceedings of our Legislative Assembly, 15th of February, 1991. The elevation of our national hero, Honorable Sybil Ione McLaughlin, as the presiding officer, Speaker of our Legislative Assembly. We know that in the 1880s, late 1880s, Edmund Parsons was chosen as the presiding officer. One of our listeners has written in and says you may want to inform everyone that the salary of 80 pounds, British pounds in 1888 is worth US $2,625 today. The administrator wearing all those hats made $218.75 per month. And they go on to say, I bet that was big money in those days. You bet your life it was big money in those days. So, our Speaker, national hero, Honorable Sybil Ione McLaughlin, unanimously recommended to the Governor as Speaker, and chosen. One of the big proponents of that, the Honorable W. McKeever Bush, as well. I think he was also supported in that endeavor by Mr. Ezard Miller. So, our speaker then gave her acceptance speech, and folks, here it is. She said, "Honorable members, thank you all very much for your kind expressions of welcome and your good wishes. As is known, the speaker is not to take part in debates or make speeches unless it is to bring messages or communications to the House. But as this is a special and historic occasion, I avail myself of the opportunity." She goes on to say, 80 years ago, these islands were busy making plans to celebrate 8 years ago, these islands were busy making plans to celebrate 150 years of parliamentary government. A search of the Jamaica Records Office, as well as those in London, provided much background information of the early days in these islands. The first recorded election was held on the 10th of December, 1931. Take note, folks, take note. First recorded election was held on the 10th of December, 1931. And the first meeting was held on the 31st of December of the same year. The second meeting on the 2nd of January, 1932 was probably the most important, as this meeting passed legislation regulating the number of elected representatives and their attendance at meetings. If they did not attend, they were fined. Meetings were bicameral, as we already heard from one honorable member, with the magistrate assembling in one room, the magistrates assembling in one room, and the elected representatives in another. Any law passed by the representatives was not valid until it had been assented to by the magistrates. A senior magistrate normally presided over the magistrates. In the 18th century, William Cartwright is listed as the first stipendiary magistrate, and he served between the years 1750 to 1775. He styled himself as quote-unquote governor and was succeeded by William Bawden in 1776, who was also called Governor Bawden. One honorable member has also noted that the chamber we have the Honorable R. Carl Rattray, QC, who is the Attorney General of the Jamaica Ministry of Justice, who was the first stipendiary magistrate appointed to these islands in 1957. In 1804, Governor Bawden recommended the appointment of John Drayton as magistrate. His appointment was confirmed by the Governor of Jamaica, Governor Nugent, on the 11th of March, 1934, 30 years later. Drayton is recorded as being a senior magistrate, and it can be assumed that he presided over the magistrates. The title Custos was also given to these men. James Goodyear Coe was one of the first custos, and as His Excellency the Governor stated in his throne speech, Edmund Parsons was the last custos, being named as at that time as the Chief Executive Officer, Chief Judge, and President of the Legislative Assembly. He was thus the first Caymanian presiding officer. It is an honor and a great privilege for me to be here today as the first speaker of the Cayman Islands legislature. I am also proud that as a woman, I have been approved by honorable members of this legislature for this position, which I accept with much pleasure. It is a great pride to me personally and to all Caymanians that honorable members were unanimous in this, and I think you meet and I thank you most sincerely. I hope this will be the forerunner and an indication of future unanimity in the House. I'm going to pause there, folks. We have reached the top of the hour. Headline news at 9 o'clock. When we return, I will finish the speech by Ms. Sybil Ione McLaughlin, and then we will open up the phone line. So please stay tuned.
Follow Radio K-Man on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio K-Man.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
45% of the estimated population of the islands has now received both doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. Just over 64,000 vaccinations have been administered to date. Chief Medical Officer Dr. John Lee reports 3 positives from the 341 COVID-19 tests carried out since Thursday. All 3 are travelers who tested positive following routine screening. They will remain in isolation until considered recovered. Good morning, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, the Minister of Tourism announced that St. Martin is ready to receive travelers from Europe and North America by July 1st, which coincides with their celebration of Emancipation Day. St. Martin is open to passengers from Saba, St. Eustatius, Bonaire, Curacao, Aruba, Anguilla, St. Barthélemy, Martinique, and Guadeloupe. And as hospitals in Delhi and many other cities run out of beds, people have been forced to find ways to get treatment for sick patients at home. Many have turned to the black market, where prices of essential medicines, oxygen, cylinders, and concentrators have skyrocketed, and questionable drugs are now proliferating. Today, India recorded a new global high for daily coronavirus cases for a 5th straight day at 352,991. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio K-Man on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio K-Man app or log on to our website, radiokman.gov.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio K-Man.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I am sharing with you the proceedings of the first meeting of our Legislative Assembly, 15th of February, 1991, and the swearing in of our first Caymanian Speaker of our Legislative Assembly. We know we had Caymanian presiding officers prior to that, but under the 1972 Constitution, this is the first Caymanian speaker, the first speaker from outside of the Legislative Assembly as well. And that individual, our national hero, Honorable Sybil Ione McLaughlin. So she goes on to say, it is an awesome task that I am undertaking, and no one knows this better than I do. But I hope my strength will be equal to my task, and I look forward with pleasure to the duties which as Speaker I shall be undertaking. The history of Speaker owes its origin to the reign of Mary I, and the first Speaker was appointed in the year 1377, although the origin can be tracked back to a much earlier date. The principal function of the early Speaker was to communicate the resolutions of the Commons to the King. Since that time, the duties of Speaker have evolved to include being a servant of the House, not its master. I'm going to repeat that one. It says, since that time, the duties of Speaker have evolved to include being a servant of the House, not its master. The authority which rests with any Speaker is the authority of the House, formulated through the standing orders approved by the majority of members. The Speaker is thus guiding the House to ensure that everyone gets a fair hearing, protects the rights of the minority, and ensures that government business is carried through with a minimum of delay. The Speaker is called upon to apply the rules of procedure to the best of his or her ability with perfect impartiality. The rules and the uses of centuries are to be maintained. And as one writer so aptly put it, the Speaker, quote, takes care that both majority and minority are unimpeded in their use of the forces and the weapons which the order of business provided for the strong and the weak, protection of a majority against obstruction, and protection of a minority against oppression, and both alike functions of the chair. The Cayman Islands are fortunate to have such able and dedicated elected representatives in this honorable legislature, as well as loyal, qualified, and dedicated official members. Members of the general public can be sure that they are all committed to the best for these islands and its people. I have just taken the oath of allegiance to Her Majesty the Queen, which includes my allegiance to these islands which I love so dearly. I thank God that in this position I can once again be of service to my country. I seek the guidance of Almighty God in my undertakings and pray that during the time I shall have the privilege of serving in this capacity, that peace, goodwill, and prosperity will abound for all the people of these islands. Before closing, I would like to pay a special tribute to the Clerk's office. The office of Clerk, like that of Speaker, goes back into history. The first Clerk of the British House of Commons was appointed in 1363, a few years before that of the Speaker. The Clerk advises the Speaker and members generally on procedural matters and is the chief parliamentary officer in the Clerk's department, which consists of a deputy clerk, clerk assistants, and other personnel. Since my retirement as clerk in 1984, the work of the department has nearly doubled. Sittings of the House have been much longer, which demand more Hansard production, that is, recordings and transcription of minutes, and the staff itself has also nearly doubled. But they are dedicated and hard-working officers, and there is not a second wasted. Every minute is fully utilized. Many of the officers spend long hours, more than the specified time, in order to meet the demands of the House. Finally, I must pay tribute to Her Majesty's representatives who have since 1898 presiding over the Cayman Islands legislature. So, folks, I'm going to pause there for a second. From 1898 to 1991, we went without a Caymanian speaker per se, other than those presiding officers, Mr. Parsons, that we spoke about. She goes on to say Arthur C. Robinson, Hugh Houston Hutchings, Captain G.H. Firth, Ernest Arthur Weston, Alan Woolsey Cardinal, John, that one is a little bit Ponce something, a little bit obscured. Albert Cullenridge Panton, who acted on many occasions and was a Caymanian. Ivor Otterbein Smith, Andrew Morris Gerard, Alan Hillard Donald, Jack Rose, the last commissioner and first administrator, John Alfred Cumber, Athelston Charles Long, the last administrator and first governor, Kenneth Roy Crook, Thomas Russell, G. Peter Lloyd, and last but not by no means least, His Excellency, the Governor, Mr. Alan Scott. Mr. Scott's term as presiding officer was no bed of roses, no calm waters, often very turbulent, but he has emerged unscathed. He was called to preside over the House for nearly double the time of his predecessors and deserved to be relieved. I could not fail to mention our Caymanian presiding officers. One was mentioned before, Mr. Spurgeon Ebanks, who was the deputy presiding officer, and also Mr. Cradock Ebanks, who served for some time. Then there was the late Mr. Ernest Panton, who himself had been a clerk of the vestry, Mr. Desmond Watler, Mr. Dennis Foster, and the Honorable Thomas Jefferson. 2. The honorable members of this House, I pledge my support to you in your efforts for good government for these islands and its people. I will make myself available within the constraints of time to all members who might wish to discuss any matter with me. Thank you. Folks, it is my opinion that this speech needs to be preserved. We know that it is in the archives of our Legislative Assembly, but this speech should be reproduced, it should be framed, and it should be placed on the walls of our Parliament for all and sundry to see. This is historic. Yet many of our people are unaware of it. They do not know what occurred then. We have to know our history. We need to know our history if we're going to have any idea of where we want to go or how we are going to get there in the future as well. I think unless we get phone calls, time allows, I want to share with you the Honorable McKeever Bush's welcoming speech that he gave in 1991, because he also laid out some of the history of the Cayman Islands as well. As a matter of fact, he was so involved in this that his speech was probably the longest of any, including the Speaker's acceptance speech, and probably just as long as the Governor's throne speech as well. And I'm saying all that to say simply that he was so involved in this issue that he certainly deserved at that time to voice his opinion and have his say, and he certainly did. So we're going to take a commercial break. If no calls come in, I will share with you what Mr. McKeever Bush at that point in time, 15th of February, 1991, had to say as well. So please stay tuned.
Did you know the third most important factor for customer retention is cleanliness? With 95% of shoppers saying exterior appliance influences where they decide to shop. Keep your business clean with Roper's Janitorial. From offices to restaurants, interior and exterior, walls to rugs and flooring. Roper's cleans it all, including 24-hour emergency service. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511, or email janitorial@ropers.ky. Dress your business for success with Roper's Janitorial. We make your business shine. 949-2511. Roper's, providing products and services for better public health.
I grew up in a Canadian village with a general store that had just about anything you could ever need. That's what I'm reminded of every time I go into West Bay Pharmacy. It's not just because it's well stocked with necessities and oddities, but also because it's like our community hub. The staff treat customers like friends. Ron and the team of pharmacists have kept my family patched up and flu-free for years, and there are usually a few good laughs mixed in. They are truly taking care of my health and my family's health. West Bay Pharmacy is the very best of Cayman kind.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs, with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
There's nothing like the smell of freshly baked bread. The warm, inviting aroma, the fresh and natural taste. Just like homemade. 100% all-natural, additive-free bread.
Enjoy fresh and natural tasting bread from the iconic Caribbean Bakery. Always delivered fresh to your favorite supermarkets island-wide. Forget the imported frozen and thawed and enjoy our freshly baked selection of quality breads and pastries.
Try our classic white and wheat sandwich breads, coconut and raisin breads, hamburger and hot dog buns, and a great selection of pastries. Feed your family fresh with Caribbean Bakery.
For the record with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio. We're going to keep the phone lines closed off for a while. Again, sharing with you the meeting of the 15th of February, 1991, and transitioning into having a speaker from outside our Legislative Assembly. In some of my readings, I may have made a verbal errors, and when speaking about 1831, may have said 1931, or I'm not sure if that may have been typos in relation to what I read there, but we'll double check those, and I want to thank the member of the listening audience who brought that to my attention as well. So, our current speaker, Honorable W. McKeever Bush, at that time member of the Legislative Assembly, not a member of the government, the Executive Council at that point in time. And here is his his welcoming speech to our speaker, our now national hero, Sybil Ione McLaughlin. And it reads, Madam Speaker, I like to think that today is our day. This year and the most auspicious occasion today will mark an important milestone in the history of the Cayman Islands. The matter of you, Madam Speaker, having been accepted and having taken the oath as our first speaker, and at that, a Caymanian. Madam Speaker, since the founding of parliamentary government in these islands 159 years ago, there have been many developments of great significance, many of which you, Madam Speaker, have been a part. Those of us who know the history of the evolution of our government know that in 1831, there was an election of representatives of the people. That system was comprised of elected vestrymen who held their meetings in a different place from the appointed justices or magistrates. This bicameral pattern was based upon the government system of the council and assembly then in effect in Jamaica, of which these islands were dependent. We speak of it now as we were governed as if we were a part of Jamaica. This development carried no vote for women, only the male taxpayers. A further development took place in 1927, and all males got the franchise. The women, again, by some strange happening, were left out. In 1959, our country received our first written constitution, and with it, we received universal adult suffrage, which not only gave our women the vote and the right to hold public office, but also gave them the solemn duty of taking a mature and adult part in running their country. The new constitution was put into effect on the 4th of July, 1959. And you, at that time, Madam Speaker, were appointed as the first clerk of the new Legislative Assembly on the 1st of September, 1959. Not only making history in these islands, but also making history throughout the Commonwealth as the first woman to be appointed as Clerk of Parliament. Also, in the same year, you were appointed as Clerk of Executive Council, a post you held until 1967. Then a further development took place in 1963 when you saw the appointment of Mr. Spurgeon Ebanks, one of our eldest statesmen today, and who is here with us as the first deputy president of the legislature. It was the only time an elected member was appointed as such. So there's another first again for you. Okay? In your time as clerk of the legislature, you witnessed, no doubt, press for many changes to effect the better workings of this honorable house. There is no record to say that there were any written rules or standing orders by which the house was guided between the years 1831 and 1920, when the first set of standing orders came into operation. I have been thinking about that, and one might only assume that for those 89 years, the Assembly of Justices and Vestrymen was so orderly that there was no need for standing orders. What gentlemen! It was you, Madam Speaker, who had the present standing orders drafted in 1966 while you were an attachment at the House of Commons. However, from 1966 to 1974, the draft standing orders stood in limbo. In 1974, Mr. Kenneth Bradshaw, clerk of the Overseas Office in the House of Commons, visited these islands to deal with the standing orders after a conference in Bermuda, which you attended. In 1976, our present standing orders were put into effect with some changes from the draft proposals of 1966. With that development, the 1959 standing orders, which were in operation from the 8th of January 1960, were replaced. I have no doubt that your expertise will be needed once again as effective changes are needed to the present orders. According to the records, you witnessed many attempts to review the 1959 Constitution order of this territory, which all fell on hard ground. It is worthy of mention that the 1967 attempt for constitutional changes made recommendations for a Speaker of the Legislative Assembly. In 1969, the legislature resolved that a select committee be appointed to consider amendments to the Constitution. This effort failed to reach unanimity. I always get tight-tongued with that. This effort failed to reach unanimity and submitted majority and minority reports. It is significant to note that both reports asked for the appointment of the Speaker of the Assembly, but nothing was done. After the various attempts by select committees for constitutional reform on the motion carried by the late Annie Huldah Borden and the late Mr. Clifton Hunter, it was unanimously resolved by the Assembly that the reports of its constitutional committee be sent to the Secretary of State for his advice and guidance. To this end, the Constitutional Commission, the Right Honourable Earl of Oxford and Asquith, came to the islands in January 1971 for a constitutional review. The results of this review made possible for the position of Speaker to be enshrined in the now constitutional order for this territory, which having provisions for a Speaker was still not put into effect. On the 6th of November 1975, following a circular to all members of the Legislative Assembly, His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Thomas Russell, CBE, held a meeting with the then members of the House in which he made the proposal that consideration should be given for the invoking of the constitutional provision by the appointment of a Speaker. This too fell on hard times. I'm going to just pause there for a second and say, folks, so you see the trials and tribulations that this country went through just in order to choose a Speaker. And it wasn't because due to the lack of effort by the United Kingdom, it was basically due to inaction on our part or opposition in some quarters to a Speaker being selected from amongst our own. Those are my words. On the 12th of February 1987, a private member's motion moved by then member for North Side and seconded by myself stated that whereas there was to be a change of the persons who occupy the office of governor in the near future, be it resolved that there shall be an office of Speaker. This was the first time that a motion was moved to invoke the provisions of Section 32 of the Constitution, and sadly, it only gained the support of the mover and then third member for Georgetown, who is now the member for Communications Works, and myself. 3 votes. No motion was moved in this regard for 2 more years. In the May meeting of 1989, another private member's motion was moved, this time by myself and seconded by the first elected member for Bordentown. It stated that, whereas it is considered that the business of this assembly and at the government has evolved to such an extent as to necessitate the separation of the offices of president of this assembly and of the governor, be it resolved that in accordance with Section 32 of the Constitution, there shall be the office of Speaker. This attracted some good debate, and Madam Speaker, they were almost persuaded. The results were that 2 members of Executive Council voted with 4 of us on this backbench. The 4 other members of the backbench voted with the other 2 elected members of the Executive Council, and the 3 official members stayed out of the fray, neither hearing or seeing nor voting. This then caused a tie vote. The President, in accordance with convention and precedent, cast the vote that those against the motion to keep the status quo. Sadly, the motion was lost. In the period following the 29th of May 1989, those members of this backbench who voted against the resolution witnessed an increased breakdown in the observance of the rules of this House. I did not give up my strong belief that there should be separation of the office and that there should be independence in the chair. There were constant clashes between the presiding officer and myself as I witnessed chaos in the workings of our parliamentary life. The Hansard sadly will verify a black spot in the life of this parliament for that period. I was constantly antagonized as I witnessed a need for independence, for a separation of the executive and the legislative arm. With the concurrence of the 7 strong backbench, In September 1990, I moved the same motion with a slight addition in that we asked at that time that the whole House recommend a list of candidates for the office of Speaker to His Excellency, the Governor. Folks, I'm going to take a break there, but what this is laying out for you now is all the maneuvering that took place by our members of our Legislative Assembly, the fight that took place to get a local speaker of our Legislative Assembly. Commercial break. When we return, I shall conclude Mr. McKeever's speech. Now our Honorable W. McKeever Bush, Speaker of our Parliament, his speech on the 15th of February.
There's nothing like the smell of freshly baked bread. The warm, inviting aroma, the fresh and natural taste. Just like homemade. 100% all-natural, additive-free bread.
Enjoy fresh and natural-tasting bread from the iconic Caribbean Bakery. Always delivered fresh to your favorite supermarkets island-wide. Forget the imported frozen and thawed and enjoy our freshly baked selection of quality breads and pastries.
Try our classic white and wheat sandwich breads, coconut and raisin breads, hamburger and hot dog buns, and a great selection of pastries. Feed your family fresh with Caribbean Bakery.
Did you know that defective airbags can cause serious injury or even death if not repaired immediately? Right now, millions of vehicles around the world are under recall for faulty Takata airbags, and yours could be one of them. At Vant Motors, our priority is to make sure the Toyota or Ford you drive is safe. So we are offering customers a free, fast, and easy airbag swap out if your vehicle was manufactured in 2016 or earlier. Find out if you need to have new airbags installed by emailing your Ford or Toyota vehicle's VIN or vehicle identification number to service@vantmotors.com or stop by Vamp's Service Center or call us at 949-2245. Don't risk it. Get the airbags in your Toyota or Ford checked for free at Vant Motors on Walkers Road.
The Green Turtle app. So many options. One easy solution. All new subscription feature to automate your weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly top-up. Makes your life easier. Never lose a number again. Keep your children on budget. Yes! Make sure you can stay in touch with your loved one. Woohoo! No hassles. Green Turtle makes it easy. Take a ride on Cayman's Green Turtle Express. Download the Green Turtle app today. It just makes life easier. Remember, you can get mobile gift cards for Xbox, PlayStation, Apple, and Spotify delivered right to your phone. Playtime is now in real time.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio. Dr. McFeel had a court appointment this morning, so he was unable to be here, but I'm sharing with you, and I hope that you're enjoying and appreciate what is being read here. I do realize that it is, quite long and a lot of information, but I think it's important to share that with you, and I will tell you where you can find it. On you just basically go to the Legislative Assembly or Parliament website, and you go into the archives, and you can find the various sessions of the Legislative Assembly. So here again is the then Mr. McKeever Bush's welcoming statements to the Speaker who had taken her oath of allegiance, our national hero, Honorable Sybil Ioun McLaughlin. So he went on to say, with the concurrence of the 7-strong backbench in September of 1990, he moved the same motion with a slight addition in that we asked that at that time that the whole House recommend a list of candidates for the office of Speaker to His Excellency the Governor. That motion was seconded by my colleague, the third elected member for West Bay. The motion, I think that would have been Mr. John Jefferson. Let me take that back. I won't call names unless I'm certain of who it was. The motion was debated as members pondered the duties of an impartial speaker. I remember very clearly as we voted and then took a division that there was a deafening silence as each member voted. Each time one of those members who voted against the 1989 resolution said yes, a bit of democracy trickled in. The die was cast for the unhealthy period which had existed. We won the motion for the appointment of an independent speaker. All these Cayman Islands heralded that move as a step in the right direction and something that should have been done a long time ago. This backbench then publicly made our choice known. I should say that yours was the only name we submitted. Of course, it is a step in the right direction. Was it not Abraham Lincoln who said that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance? Vigilance? Question mark. That is as true as much of the responsibility of parliamentarians as it is of societies as a whole. That is as much due to our responsibility as to our preserving our rights and our responsibilities to see that parliamentary government functions to the advantage of the members, who in turn function to the benefit of every citizen we have the pride of representing. It is our responsibility to see to it that parliamentary government is a living organism grafted on the tradition of nations, and that it be nurtured by the circulation of the ambitions and anxieties of the people it represents. Whenever there is anything which clogs that circulation, it must be removed. One of our greatest jobs as parliamentarians is to try to change the perception that we are a noisome pestilence or clanging cymbal, and you can believe, I guess we often do, leave that impression. We as parliamentarians have a duty to educate our people, to let them understand that we are trying to do what we are trying to do in the parliament of their country, their parliament. And as I said, very often in the House, the debate gets to the point where some members of the public perceive members here to be irrelevant while we are only trying to do our job. For instance, you might think I am long-winded today, but as I say, today is our day. In the countries with mass media, the task of expressing one's self is a little easier. In our country, the fourth estate is still growing and learning and falls down like all the rest of us. It is then extremely important that this assembly must become an efficient vehicle of expressing public opinion, and in so doing, if we seem to become what is termed as repetitious and irrelevant, it should be seen as an honest attempt to represent. Debate at times to some and to you will probably seem meaningless. If a member is not talking with the polish of the great orators and English writers. For instance, I am often told that my English is bad. I do not mind that. Orators and writers use words comprehensible only by Webster. But all of us who represent our people and members of this house have a job to do, and we must do it regardless of who might complain. As parliamentarians, we belong to an institution which is the real lifeblood to which we all subscribe. This parliament must reflect the body and soul of the society from which it issues. And this parliament can serve to create the environmental conditions of our society which can influence the social outlook of our people and on which we can base our future progress and obtainment of greatness. We then can, by default, through our acts of omission and contribute materially to our society's deterioration and eventual decay. Says, I remember well the aspersions cast by the backbench and myself for moving the Speaker's motion at the time we did. The doubt was created and tried to be put into the public's mind. There were those who tried to gain cheap political mileage by saying the backbench was trying to get political independence. What a joke. Then some said that the government brought prestige to the House, that the governor, brought prestige to the House, and he should be left here. There were those who said it was not time to get a speaker. Then there were those who said, where shall we get a Caymanian to be speaker? But we on the backbench pressed on in our belief that the cornerstone and indeed the success of parliamentary democracy depends to a large degree on the impartiality of the speaker, on his indifference to favors and frowns of the executive, and that the two offices should be separated. As I said, the question was asked by the doubting Thomases, whom will we get? We pressed on because we knew we had able, decent, and upright, experienced Caymanians who could take the post, and as I said, at all times, your name was there at the top as the person of the caliber we needed. I thank God you are here today. Still a lot more. When it comes to this young member of this honorable house, I like to believe I am a sensible nationalist, and I am proud of it. I am proud today to be in these hallowed chambers, and I want to say hallowed because I believe on the swearing-in day or some debate thereafter, some people refer to the halls as being hallowed. Folks, representatives, members of parliaments, they are hallowed chambers, hallowed halls, not hollowed. So he says, I'm proud today to be in these hallowed chambers. I am proud today to be a Caymanian. I say to my people, have confidence in the future. We need that confidence if we are to achieve the slow, steady effort that can alone bring ultimate success in getting our people more entrenched in and to accept that we can have pride in our country, have an awareness of the deeds of our forefathers, and be nationalists without going into political independence. Some people have not yet learned that being a sensible nationalist is a matter of pride in one's homeland and pride in things connected to the place of one's birth. That is why I moved the motion to create the Order of National Heroes. That is why I moved the motion to create the National Sports Award. That is why I moved the motion to rewrite and update our history, and why I moved the motion to create a Caymanian honor, which could be placed behind the person's name. The woods are lonely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. Nothing much has been done about what I just mentioned, but one of these days, when we on this side are on that side, those who are on that side are someplace else, these things will be done. We have to take our last commercial break, DJ Lynn, and then I have about 3 more paragraphs to read after that in terms of Mr. Bush's welcome to our speaker, 15th of February 1991. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Green Turtle app. So many options. One easy solution. All new subscription feature to automate your weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly top-up. Makes your life easier. Never lose a number again. Keep your children on budget. Yes. Make sure you can stay in touch with your loved one. Woohoo! No hassles. Green Turtle makes it easy. Take a ride on Cayman's Green Turtle Express. Download the Green Turtle app today. It just makes life easier. Remember, you can get mobile gift cards for Xbox, PlayStation, Apple, and Spotify delivered right to your phone. Playtime is now in real time.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
There's nothing like the smell of freshly baked bread. The warm, inviting aroma, the fresh and natural taste. Just like homemade. 100% all-natural, additive-free bread.
Enjoy fresh and natural tasting bread from the iconic Caribbean Bakery. Always delivered fresh to your favorite supermarkets island-wide. Forget the imported frozen and thawed and enjoy our freshly baked selection of quality breads and pastries.
Try our classic white and wheat sandwich breads, coconut and raisin breads, hamburger and hot dog buns, and a great selection of pastries. Feed your family fresh with Caribbean Bakery.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning, and I apologize to you in terms of not opening up the phone lines, but I really wanted to share this with you, and this was an excellent opportunity to share with you the ascension of our national hero, the Honorable Sybil Ione McLaughlin, as Speaker of our Legislative Assembly on the 15th of February 1991. Share with you some of the speeches that were made, including her acceptance speech. I'm concluding now with Mr. McKeeva Bush, who was a member at that time. And earlier, he referred to a third elected member second in his motion, and yes, that third elected member for West Bay was Mr. John D. Jefferson Jr. As well. So I'm going to try to wrap this up, and then I have one question raised in relation to the vaccine that I will read for you when we return as well. So he spoke then about hopefully one day things would change and some of the aspirations that Caymanians had would be realized when those on the government side were in the backbench or elsewhere, and when those in the backbench were actually running the government. He says, why is it there are those in this country who have that pessimistic, cynical, and even derogatory view that a Caymanian could not be fit the office of Speaker? Why is it that there are those who do not want to recognize Beloved Isles Cayman as our national song? Why? Why is it that it is not set down in statute? Why is it that it is not set down in law for a national flower? Why is it that there is this feeling that we as Caymanians are incapable of taking a rightful place as leaders in certain jobs and in businesses? We know we are not inferior to any other country when we have come up the ranks, in the largest ships that ply the ocean, from messman to chief steward, from oiler to chief engineer, and right on to the top as captain and ship owners. Humble Caymanians in business, from a small grocery store to one of the country's largest conglomerates, from ordinary bank clerk to managers. And what about so many of the women in these islands who have taken their rightful place as leaders in the world of business and in government? It is because there is strength in our Caymanian people to be full craftsmen of our faith, as the Eastern Caribbean soca song tells us about. I believe, as a young leader of the people, that it must be installed in their minds that they must consciously believe in themselves and their own destiny to win equality in terms of humanity, that irrespective of power or wealth can be measured by the growing values of one's own civilization, culture, and heritage. So there should always be in this house, and there should always be in this country at large, a strong welcome for anything that enhances the forward and upward mobilization of sensible nationalism. As for me, I will always be land of my birth. I pledge to thee, loyal and faithful, true to be. You have come to us with a wealth of knowledge. You have established an enviable, indeed a great record in the field of management of the legislature, and you have consistently demonstrated qualities of good judgment and balance which will serve us superbly well in this honorable house. Your Christian character, your broadness of view, your love for peace and good understanding, as I have known you over the years, will help to guide us through difficult times. And I am promising no one that the times will not be difficult, but your strength of character will enhance immeasurably the reputation and image of this honorable house. You assume your duties assured of my goodwill and assistance when and where needed. Most of my cooperation. We congratulate you today. We welcome you sincerely and very happily to this honorable house as our first speaker and our Caymanian speaker. All of us, including the chair, know you recognize that we have a charge to keep for the preservation of parliamentary government and its constant development. We have a charge to keep to see to it that our people are not deprived of the basic needs of life, food, shelter, and clothing. For we know that where there is poverty, wickedness, squalor, and rampant misery, democracy will not thrive. It would be meaningless to come here to talk of philosophy, politics, and democracy to a hungry people with nothing to call their own, except perhaps the body and soul. We must keep our people, we must help our people, to rise to their full status economically, educationally, and socially, enabling them to play their part as equal partners in our country. Lastly, Madam Speaker, all of us know that the deepest course of complexities has been the failure to understand and trust one another. I do not something that future. This is all. The typo is not too good. I do not know what wonderful and modern discoveries might come to light, but all of us know one thing: if humanity is to survive, we must learn to live in peace, harmony, goodwill, and friendship. For we pass through this world but once. What good we can do, what kindness we can show to our fellow man, let us do it now, for we may not pass this way again. I thank you, Madam Speaker, for your kind indulgence. I thank honorable members, and I pray that your tenure here will be blessed as we try to do what is best for the people of these Cayman Islands. I pray that the hand of the divine providence will uphold these Cayman Islands as we love. Cayman Islands we love, we all love, and to which we call home. So that was the Honorable McKeeva Bush's speech, welcoming speech to our national hero, first Caymanian speaker, because before that they were called presiding officers of our Legislative Assembly as well. Okay, very quickly here, one WhatsApp message that was received, and this individual wanted to know, for people who have been vaccinated, will the government reduce the quarantine time to 1 week when coming from overseas? We are not sure yet, but we do know that in the past that a particular threshold had to be reached in terms of vaccinations before the next move would be made. And I think we're nearing that point in time as far as the threshold as well as the time it will be considered as well. We hope, we trust, we believe that the new government will continue to follow the advice and guidance given by the medical experts. We have been so successful in our combat against the coronavirus, and we need to ensure that we maintain that as well. We have seen what has happened in other countries when they have relaxed, when they have reversed their policies, and then they have to turn around and end up doing it all over again. Bermuda, over 22, somewhere around more than 22 persons now have fallen as a result of the coronavirus, have died as a result of that. We in the Cayman Islands have been so fortunate. Yes, people are anxious. People want to be able to resume their normal lives, but we see throughout the world that that is something that will still take time. And we're only going to be successful here in the Cayman Islands when other jurisdictions are successful as well. So I would only say to you all, hold tight, continue to believe, continue to follow the guidance that has been given. It has worked so far. It will continue to work again. As it will continue to work as we continue to fight this pandemic. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And if you want to know more about the history of the Cayman Islands, the history of our parliament, previously known as the Legislative Assembly, and before that known as the Assembly of Justices and Vestry. You can go to the Legislative Assembly's website, go to the Hansard archives, and you can find the various sessions of our Legislative Assembly as well, and they go back all the way to the 70s, 1971. So, for instance, if you want to know about the introduction of the Cayman Protection Law, that came into effect in 1972, same time that our new Constitution was approved. 1971 session, the Hansards are in there. You can see when Honorable Benson Ebanks was the member of Executive Council who moved the motion in relation to the Caymanian Protection Law as well. We keep hearing many people saying we need to bring the Caymanian Protection Law back. I'm not sure that we need the law, the protection law, because while it was named the protection law, that may have been a misnomer as well, because it really was more an immigration law that controlled work permits, status, and things of that nature. But yes, we need to protect Caymanians, so we need different type of legislation for that as well. Folks, have a great day, and as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source